It's Jan Beta, and as I keep promising to give you some kind of behind the scenes thing here on Patreon, I am going to do that because I have my streaming setup still set up from the stream I did a couple of days ago with Turamba. If you haven't watched that, you can check that out on my Twitch, which is linked below. Yeah, let me just briefly show you what I used for that stream. It's still not perfectly satisfied with the setup I used, but it worked pretty well. And yeah, there's a couple of tricks I can show you that I found to be pretty useful and not self-explanatory. So let me just show you around. Okay, so from the last stream, the C64 is set up. You can see me there on the screen if you're watching closely. The C64 is still set up from the stream we did. Of course, I can connect other systems. This setup basically supports S-video, composite, and RGB video. And I can also do some VGA stuff if I hook up an adapter and stuff. So this pretty much covers all the old systems I have. So that's not too bad, I guess. Let's take a closer look. So that's a bit strange because you can see me there. Hi. I have my webcam, which is a Logitech C922, which is like a modern HD, full HD webcam. I could have used a cheaper one, but this one, I got this used on eBay for pretty cheap, and I got the Patreon money, which I bought this for. So this is something I bought thanks to you, because I plan on doing regular streams in the future. So above that, look, is my microphone and my stack of lubricants and have what have you, tuner spray, air duster, glues like epoxy and stuff like that. That's all above the area you normally get to see. There's my microphone that we placed above the viewing area, which is an old AKG C1000S that I have since my days when I worked as an audio engineer. Used this for home recording stuff and for all kinds of stuff, like just quick voiceover stuff. And this is pretty decent mic for the price. It's like a condenser mic, not a huge membrane, but this is holds up pretty well for all kinds of uses. Big plus for these microphones, they're pretty consistent when it comes to loud peak dynamic stuff, so you can actually use these on snare drums and stuff, which sounds pretty decent actually. So these are not bad microphones, and I've had this for quite a while and it still holds up well. You can see it's a bit scratchy. I used this for some live setups and stuff like that for when I was mixing bands live, which I did a couple of years ago. So for upscaling the, in this case, S-video signal, I'm using this Ligavo box, which is, what's the model number? It's like 30510. These are no longer available, I was told. I haven't looked for one because I have one. These are pretty handy. They are really pretty good when it comes to still pictures and like slow motion stuff. They are pretty bad when it comes to smooth scrolling. So this is not an ideal solution, but this was like a 30 euro device, so it is a cost-effective solution for if you want to stream. The other thing I regularly use is this thing, which you probably know from my other videos, which is like a Flylink branded HD video converter. Yeah, these holes got a lot of criticism. I put in the heatsink. These get pretty hot. So I made a video about modding this to have like these RCA jacks on the side and stuff. This is just a workhorse. And I actually made a cable that comes from USB for both of these upscalers, because they both use 5 volts at 1 amp. So I made just a little adapter from USB to these barrel plugs, so I can use a decent USB power supply. I'm using my Apple iPhone charger supply, which works very well and is much better than the supplies, the power supplies that come with these things here. Yeah, as for the PC setup, I have my under the desk. There's not much to see. It's just a regular desktop PC tower thingy that's pretty black. It's an i5, an old i5, 4th generation i5, I believe, with like 16 gigabytes. This is the machine I added all my video on. This is usually my Hackintosh setup. I have Windows 10 running because OBS Studio and the other parts of the video setup don't play well with macOS in my setup for whatever reason. For sound, I'm using the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which I got for free from my father. Actually, he gifted his old device because he never used it. He was planning on recording music and stuff, but he found out that he's never going to use this thing and just gave it to me when he found out I was making this video things. And this is a pretty handy device. I really like it. Yeah, the sound from this C64 is recorded into this, and the microphone is hooked up to this, so I can just have physical controls for the microphone and for the audio from the C64. Because for some reason my Windows sound mixer doesn't work. That's probably the reason, because it's the Windows sound mixer. I probably have to do better drivers setup and stuff like that. I don't know. I have no idea actually. Yeah, it's a bit strange. You can see me. Hello again. I have a 2-monitor setup, which I don't have usually because I need all this desk real estate for repairing stuff, basically. This is where I have the chat running. I opened the Twitch window there. There's my chat that I can see there. There's my monitoring. I can switch this monitor. Actually, the output of the upscaler is directly connected to the other input. This monitor has 2 HDMI inputs. I can switch those around so I have less lag than if I would be looking at this screen. This has not that much lag because I'm using a rather modern device. This is the video capturing device I'm using. It's an Elgato Game Capture HD60S, which I also got from my Patreon money. These are not cheap, and the bummer about this is that I actually got this, then found out that the specs of my PC are not really matching the specs that are recommended for this thing. It works fine, but it probably, if I would put it into this is supposed to do 60 frames at full HD video capture. If I was to put this in the highest setting, this probably would have hiccups and stuff. But this is a nice, neat little device that works pretty well. You get HDMI input. You have an HDMI output where I can connect my screen directly. This is just a path through, which is pretty handy if you are doing gaming and you want less lag, so you don't have to see the picture that is computed in the computers. You just can see the picture that is coming from the upscaler, basically, which is a lot less laggy than or a bit less laggy. This is pretty good. The picture you get from this is pretty... You can still play games and have your preview window open and have reasonable lag. It's noticeable, but it's not that bad. So I play, most of the time I really play the games in the preview window, actually. This window here that you see at the moment. So this is like... The software I'm using is OBS Studio, the open source thingy, which is pretty handy and pretty nifty. There's a little catch for the game capture thing. You have to actually, once you start this all up, you have to deactivate it and then reactivate it so that it produces a picture. For some reason, the drivers are not perfect, I guess, and yeah, there's some quirks needed. Yeah, that's basically the setup. Also, in the back here I just have a green screen. I just bought a blanket because it was the cheapest way to get a green screen, and there's very limited room in this lab. The computer stuff is here, and basically I just coated the back of the lab there, and I have a little lamp shining light on the green screen. So this is like a white natural light. I would close the curtains, of course, if it was streaming, so I don't have any other light color mix in. It's pretty difficult to set up a green screen correctly, and I'm still figuring it out, basically. That's the hats we wore, or the hat I wore in the stream. So this is the little setup, basically. Not much more to it. It's pretty simple for a streaming setup, I guess. Especially if you have like a retro streaming setup from real hardware, it can be pretty difficult to get the hardware streaming. The workaround basically is that I'm using a regular HDMI upscaler and then use an HDMI capture device, which are pretty common these days, normally used for capturing like modern console stuff. I found this to work pretty well. So yeah. Maybe, hopefully, this was interesting. If you have any more questions about this, feel free to ask in the comments. Thanks for your support. As I've said, most of the setup I could afford due to your donations, so thanks for that. I hope to have the time to do more streams in the future. If you haven't done so, check out my Twitch. The streams there, I've tried to archive the streams I did. The first one is lost, which was a Patreon only thing. I forgot to tick the little box where it says save for later use, basically. So I didn't save that. That's basically, if you watched that, you're one of a few, including me, that watched that. I'm going to do more other systems and stuff like that whenever I have time, because streaming is really fun and it's a way to directly communicate with the community, which is pretty neat. And there's always something nice happening. Last time there was like DMX from Megastyle, who made the Bruce Lee restyled version of Bruce Lee, Fist of Fury, I think, for the C64 recently. He just came into the chat and really stayed all 3 hours or 3.5 hours until the end. And we had a fun conversation all the way through. So that was really amazing. Thanks, DMX, and thanks everybody else who supports, who was in the chat in the stream, who watched the stream, who watches my videos. Thanks. So much for now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jan Beta. See you next time. Bye.